Welcome back. Amida Care is a leader in advocating for healthcare access and social justice. They recently launched the Let's Vote, Let Our Voices Be Heard, which is an inspiring project emphasizing the crucial role of voting and protecting civil and human rights. By sharing powerful stories from a diverse group of voters, the organization seeks to inspire action and amplify the voices of those who often go unheard. Let's take a look at this trailer.
Tuesday, November 5th is Election Day. This is the most important election of our lifetime.
Women's health is at risk, Medicaid is at risk.
Gender affirming care, we didn't have that growing up. Without the medication and without the things that I need, it's going to affect my life. And by affecting my life, I know it's affecting other people's lives.
Human rights are under attack right now, and it's important that all of us go out there and make sure that even for the most marginal of us, that we are not left out.
Voting is not only a right, but also a duty and a responsibility that we have to our community, to the communities that we live in, to our families, to our friends, and to country.
There are many people in this country who cannot vote, but are affected by every decision made by our elected officials.
It's an important election for me. I recently became a citizen.
I'm going to vote because it's my responsibility to vote. I remember my grandmother, and she had to walk miles and miles to the voting site to vote. She felt it was her responsibility, it was her duty to vote. Well, I feel that same responsibility now. That's why I'm going to vote.
My voice gets to decide what happens for the next 4 years.
Your rights to vote is a privilege that many others don't have. So this election, utilize that right to vote.
I'm going to vote because my grandmother didn't have that right growing up. I'm going to vote because it's my right and my privilege.
I vote because my voice matters, and yours does too. Make a plan, register, and vote.
People have died to give us the right to vote. Please don't let that go in vain.
I'm not taking my rights for granted.
I don't think any of you should take your rights for granted.
Let them know that you count. Your vote counts.
Get out and vote.
Here now to tell us more is Amida Care's Events Associate, Miah Jordan, and Director of Research Grants Management, Scaccabarrozzi. Thank you both so much for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us. Now, what inspired Amida Care to launch the Let's Vote, Let Our Voices Be Heard video series?
Well, this is part of the work that we've been doing for a long time. Amida Care has been around for 20 years, and this is part of the whole policy and advocacy project and mobilizing communities in regards to different issues.
And can you tell us a little bit more about that as well?
Yes, so Amida Care, we created this campaign because we do care about social justice, and encouraging our members in our community to vote is part of our advocacy agenda. We currently serve over 10,000 members who are affected by HIV, as well as the LGBTQ plus community in our homeless population. So we really wanted to get this campaign out and let everyone know, to get out to vote this year.
Now, I can definitely say that this is such an important effort, just because there's so much things going on. A lot of people get their information from online, and they make decisions based on that. But, how does the series highlight the connection between voting and protecting civil and human rights?
Well, there's many stories. I think that Miah's and mine are just two of the many stories that have been shared. And so I think that it's about identifying with one of those stories. I think each one of us comes with our own experiences, and it's about identifying. It's about creating that enthusiasm about getting out and voting.
And I think what I love the most about this is that oftentimes when we think about voting, we just think about the political candidates. But there's lives and people who kind of talk about that. Can you explain the importance of that and kind of making sure people hear these stories?
Yes, so there are a lot of people that are in marginalized communities that don't have certain access to vote, or they may not necessarily know how to vote or know where to go. So what inspired me specifically is my generation. They don't really vote, but it's not necessarily because they don't want to vote. So we just kind of wanted to encourage people and also promote those resources and let it out so everyone can know that this is, you know, what we should be doing.
Now, could you share some of the powerful stories featured in the series, such as those from people born in the Jim Crow era or immigrants from military dictatorships?
Well, I can share a little bit about the military dictator. That's my story. So I'm coming from a country that actually was going through military dictatorship, and I think that, you know, the major reason for me in getting out there to vote is that vote can produce change, and vote does produce outcomes, and so that's why I highly suggest people to really figure out and the reason in voting as well. My personal reason was, you know, the thinking that there was no outlet in regards to dictatorship, and finally that opportunity came to vote, and that did allow us to get a democratic government.
And I want to kind of expand on that, I guess, a little bit more. What is the significance of amplifying the voices of LGBTQ plus communities and communities of color in this project?
So the significance of amplifying their voices is really just, I want to say, people in those communities not really being able to speak for themselves. So we'll have people that, you know, work with them, and more people that have member-facing experiences, and just to let them know that their voice is heard and there are other people that do care about them. And if they don't want to empower them, we have people who will support and help them as well.
Now, how does Amida Care use personal stories to foster a deeper understanding of the collective impact of voting? You talked a little bit more about yours. You know, why is it so important that we kind of take that moment to look at people as people, and understand that, you know, obviously, of course, voting is this big thing, but underneath all of that, we're all just people and humans with stories. Why was that so important?
I think it's about creating identification with different experiences. And so I think that has helped a lot of people to, you know, identify their stories with their own experiences, and create that enthusiasm to go and getting out to vote.
And, you know, I would say that this is something that I find curious, the link between healthcare and politics. I know oftentimes we don't always, you know, bring them together or think about them as being something that's affected by one another. But, you know, as people who work in this industry, how have you seen politics influence the healthcare industry?
I think social justice is not just, you know, in a silo. I think it's connected to many other issues. You know, the health disparities are also impacted by racial justice, by economic justice, and we see some of what is even happening here in the Bronx. That we have some of the zip codes that are have the highest poverty level and have the highest incidence rates for many diseases, diabetes, hypertension, and HIV. At some point, the Bronx was the highest. So I think that it is important to create that and get a sense of that interconnectedness with other issues, and that does impact the way we access healthcare, and the way, if we do not have you know, healthcare insurance or connected to Medicaid.
Now, how does Amida Care's mission align with the vision that democracy thrives on active participation?
That again is part of the government issues and the policy issues that we're focusing on, and I think that there's that connection. We need to mobilize communities, and we need to make sure that people understand that the vote is actually going to get them to have access to healthcare.
Now, what resources are provided in the series to help voters navigate the registration process and voting logistics?
So the Get Out to Vote video campaigns are actually on our website. You can find it at www.amidacareny.org. And there are also information on how to vote in mail or in person, as well as people who are trans experienced and incarcerated as well.
And, you know, I'm curious to know what impact, you know, just being a part of the series and working on it, what impact has it had on both of you, and how has it influenced, you know, your journey with voting?
I want to say the impact with me is really just encouraging my generation and the younger people to go out and vote, and letting them know that it is important, it is crucial, and yeah.
And for you?
And for me, I think it's about working with communities that have never voted, and that really consider voting, and create that, again, that enthusiasm, but also that awareness about the reasons why they need to be out there and vote. I think that's the major reason why.
How does Amida Care plan to promote the series through community events and partnerships?
We have a large number of organizations that we're connected to through different coalitions and different partnerships. So it has been a lot about showing this information, but also sharing on social media, as well as the different events that we've been a part of. All the staff is highly aware of it and sharing it, voluntarily on their social media as well. So it's many ways in creating these networks and getting this information out.
And I also wanted to, oh yeah, you can expand
Yeah,
on
I
that.
also wanted to mention like those 10,000 members that I did mention of us having. We do send out the text messages with those campaigns, so we know that the videos are being seen by our members. So.
And I wanted to, discuss social media for a second because everybody has their own opinions on it, whether it's good or bad. But, how have you seen social media kind of make a positive change or impact in regards to voting?
It's highly present. I mean, and it's not only our campaign, it's many campaigns, and the information is out there. So it's about checking in the information and what you're reading and making sure that you make the right decisions in regards to what you're voting for.
And for you?
Kind of what Lewis said, just paying attention to what you're voting for, being updated and just being educated on what's going on.
Now, what do you hope viewers will take away from hearing the personal motivations behind Amida Care's members' commitment to voting?
What is it that I expect?
Yeah, or what do you hope people watching take away from it?
I think it's enthusiasm. I think it's finding that reason to vote. For me, I think you really need to be highly aware. If I say, when I say your reason, it's not only your reason. It's that of your neighbors. It's that of your community. It's that of the people that you're connected to in some way, those that are close to you and next to you, not only here in New York, but also throughout the United States. And so I think that's really important, that they understand the reasons and vote because they really care about something, be that reproductive rights, be that access to health care, be that education, whatever that might be. And not, again, only for you, but those who surround you, who you love and you care about.
And I feel like you're a representative for younger people. What do you hope the younger people watching take away from this?
I really want people to be inspired. I want them to know that they're not the only ones who feel how they feel, and just to get educated and knowing the importance of voting and how to vote. Like I said, they don't want to vote. They just don't know how to vote. They don't know where to go, and they don't maybe feel like it is important. But I'm hoping that the video campaigns that we created can really inspire the next generation to vote.
And we talked about, the next generation and younger generations, but I want to take a moment to talk about older generations because I know previously I mentioned that, there's even stories from somebody who was born during Jim Crow era. What could voting mean for somebody who, had to probably fight for the right to vote?
Right, I think that story came from one of our staff. And it's true, I think that all the challenges and difficulties during the Jim Crow era, I think it was his grandparents who had those challenges. So he lived through much of the stories that came from his grandparents and just those challenges. And now having the opportunity to vote for the past 40, 50 years and always being present. And I think that for him and his family, it's been about, being able to participate and being able to create change as well.
Now, what do you hope to see, or how do you hope this effort kind of evolves as our ideas about voting and, how we kind of face things like democracy or injustice? How do you hope this evolves as time goes on?
About the impact that voting has, and it's something that you need to be involved in and you need to be engaged in consistently and constantly throughout the process, even before that date of voting, is understanding what is happening around you and the reality that you're confronted with, and be able to vote for the things that matter.
And then for overall, I know we mostly talked about the campaign and voting, but can you just remind viewers a little bit more about Amida Care, the work that you do to support the community?
Amida Care has been around for 20 years. We're celebrating our 20th anniversary this year. And we really pride ourselves, while we started doing mostly HIV work, we've extended some of that work in what is working with communities that need gender-affirming care. So that's what we pride ourselves as being the expert in HIV and gender-affirming care.
And I know that for some younger people, maybe voting may not be on their mind right now, those who are in high school or maybe even middle school. But what do you hope to see for the future of those groups of young people and how they can be present in this process?
I hope to see that more younger people are, number one, registered to vote, and really I would hope to see more people get more into politics and actually know what they're voting for and who they're voting for, and also promoting it to the younger generation as they're getting older as well.
All right, now do you have any last words or any words of advice for somebody who's still maybe on the fence about voting, especially if they don't feel they can identify with either candidate? What would you say to somebody who's still kind of on the fence about that?
I would say find your inspiration. Find what the reason for voting. I think that some of these stories are gonna perhaps hit somebody's heart and soul, and they might decide to vote. But I think it's really learning and about each candidate as well.
And for you?
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
What advice would you give to somebody who may still be on the fence about voting?
The advice that I would give to somebody who would still be on the fence of voting, I would say get more educated, know the importance of voting, and see how it could affect you as well as your peers and people that you may know in your family as well.
Now, where can people go to learn more information about the campaign in the video series?
They can go to our website, which is amidacareny.org, or they can go to our YouTube channel as well, where you'll see all the stories and the social media stuff.
All right, well, I want to thank you both so much for joining us. I definitely know how important and how crucial this work is. Just by being online, I see a lot of people who may be withdrawing from voting or may just feel not sure or feel underrepresented. So I think it's amazing that there's something like this that can show people from different backgrounds having a say and talking about why voting is so important for them. So with that, again, I want to thank you both so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.